Well, the holiday season is finally over, and that means impeachment is back on the menu, or at least in the news cycle. And I, for one, am sick and tired of talking about it. But of course, it's going to be a major issue. Super Tuesday is on the horizon. They're now going to start figuring out what they're going to be doing to articles of impeachment. But if you're as tired of impeachment as I am, I have good news. Republican Senator Josh Hawley says he's going to introduce a resolution on Monday to dismiss the impeachment charges against Trump. But most interestingly, for lack of prosecution. He actually wants to update the rules, basically saying to Pelosi, if you're going to hold this up, well, we can just dismiss it outright. There have been a few arguments about whether or not Trump has actually even been impeached, which is creating this kind of weird impasse, which many people are cheering Nancy Pelosi for implementing this great strategy of keeping Trump in impeachment limbo. I, however, think the best argument so far comes from Noah Feldman, who's actually the Democrats' witness when he said, if Trump has already been impeached, then according to the Constitution, Senate can act. Okay, but the real argument, he says, is that because they're not transmitting the article, they're not sending their managers for prosecution. Trump has not, in fact, been impeached. So Hawley wants to effectively end this by saying, if you're not going to prosecute, you're done. It's bogus. He's trying to, as he says, expose the Dems. So read the story. But there's a few interesting points. There's a reason why I pull up the Hot Air column on this. It's conservative commentary. Well, they point out, in my opinion, accurately, Trump wants the Senate trial for a variety of reasons. He wants to use it to defend vulnerable Republicans, but Trump also wants, it's Trump, man. He wants to get up on that stand. You know, I don't know if he'll actually do it, but he wants to tell his story, and he wants to defend himself. Trump takes these things really, really personally. You look at, why he wanted to investigate Biden in the first place. Again, just in my opinion, I think he's angry over the whole Russiagate smear nonsense. He knows it's fake. We now know the whole thing was basically fake. And so Trump's like, I want to figure out who did this and why. Trump takes it very personally. At the same time, however, after we move on from this, I got another big breaking story. Democrats are upping the ante on impeachment. They're saying because of newly viewed unredacted emails, we must get more witnesses. Yes, they're actually doubling down. This is in line with their calls for a second impeachment or new articles. But I think there are some problems in this narrative as well. Because if they're trying to claim that Trump was covering up the potential illegality of withholding aid, the problem is they didn't charge Trump with withholding aid. Okay, I've heard it from so many Democrats and leftists saying, Trump didn't have a legal authority to withhold the aid. Well, then why wasn't that included in the impeachment charges? You can't complain about Trump potentially covering up that he knew he couldn't withhold the aid or there were concerns he couldn't when you didn't actually bother to charge him with it anyway. Okay, but let's get started and read about what's going on with Josh Hawley. Before we do, head over to timcast.com/donate if you'd like to support my work. There's a PayPal option, a crypto option, a physical address, but of course, the best thing you can do, share this video. If you're watching on Facebook, because that's a new thing I'm doing, click that share button. Really, really does help. For those of you on YouTube, you know YouTube is negatively impacting independent political commentary to a rather absurd degree. And this is resulting in me now launching an entirely new show. It's going to be generalist content. I'm expanding. I'm doing more to counteract the negative impact. But I will tell you this, as most of you know, the best thing you can do to counteract YouTube's attack on, me and other independent political commentators, just share this video wherever you can if you think I do a good job and you think I'm deserving of continuing to do this job. But let's read from Hot Air. They first point out that Hawley is trying to get that 2024 Republican nomination. I'm kind of thinking it'll be Don Jr., but they say this. He's been running for the 2024 nomination since the day he was sworn in as a senator, aiming to win over Trump's base by picking fights with populist enemies like big tech. This move won't hurt his chances. Yep, I completely agree. He said on Twitter, Dems said impeachment was urgent. Now they don't want to have a trial because they have no evidence. In real world, if prosecution doesn't proceed with the case, it gets dismissed. So on Monday, I will introduce measure to dismiss this bogus impeachment for lack of prosecution. This is a major stick-it to Nancy Pelosi. He's saying, you want to play this game? I'll just dismiss it outright for lack of prosecution. He goes on. This will expose Dems' circus for what it is, a fake impeachment, abuse of the Constitution based on no evidence. If Dems won't proceed with the trial, bogus articles should be dismissed, and Donald Trump should be fully cleared. All right, and Trump fully cleared. My proposal will take the form of motion to update Senate impeachment rules to account for this unprecedented attempt to obstruct Senate trials. Stay tuned. He goes on to say, hey, Dems, this is the guy who got you into this jam by recommending you withhold the articles from the Senate. Now he's literally making up constitutional provisions. Constitution says nothing about filing articles in Senate or otherwise giving House power over trial. So he's referencing Lawrence Tribe Law, who says this loony idea is no. I'm not going to get into the whole debate between the two. He goes on to say, the Constitution says House has power to impeach, Senate has sole power to try impeachment cases. For the first time in history, Democrats trying to obstruct an impeachment trial. Senate should update its rules to dismiss these bogus articles if House Dems refuse to try their case. I'll do one more for you. Trump's not accused of any statutory crime, okay? I get it. And we've already seen liberals push back saying, oh, but Trump obstructed. Sorry, man. Trump didn't commit any single crimes. I don't know what you're obstructing him for. And I'll get into that in the next part, because I do want to read a little bit about this as to why Republicans actually disagree with Hawley on this issue. But for the most part, let's just jump right in. I want to save the segment on Schumer and the new emails. So we'll read this first and talk about Trump's, reasoning will stand target. They say Senate rules currently require the chamber to hold a trial once the president is impeached. McConnell himself has cited them as a reason for why he can't simply toss the articles of impeachment in the trash once Pelosi delivers them. In reality, he would want to hold a trial anyway, for the simple reason that it helps vulnerable Republican incumbents like Cory Gardner, Martha McSally, and Susan Collins to show voters back home that they're taking this case seriously. They're taking the case against Trump seriously before they inevitably vote to acquit. They're going to try to soften the political blow by doing the same prayerful shtick about their deliberations as Pelosi did for hers. No need to make voters on the other side any angrier than they're destined to be by appearing arrogant and contemptuous of the Democrats' allegations against Trump. Well, I'll tell you this. I hate the posturing. I hate the games. We know the Republicans are going to acquit Trump. In fact, there's even some Democratic senators who might do it because they're also potentially vulnerable as well. And there are Democrats that are blue in majority red states as well. So I think Trump's not going to be convicted on this. Okay. So I think it's silly that they're playing a game pretending to be objective. And you've got all these Democrats now saying Mitch McConnell has already violated his oath of the Senate by saying he'll work with Trump. Come on, man. Are we really going to play these games? We know exactly what the game is. Now, first of all, it was the Democrats who defected to oppose impeachment, not the other way around. We know where Republicans are going with this one, and I'm willing to bet there are going to be Democrat senators who defect, not Republicans. Okay, so you don't need to play a game. We don't need a trial? Fine. We're going to have a trial anyway. It's a show trial, let's be honest. But here's what they say. Hawley doesn't care about that, though, in reference to whether, people trying to defend their seats. His seat is safe-ish in Missouri, and he has his eye on the White House. He'll be as contemptuous of the House effort as he can be in order to make an impression on Trump fans, even though his proposed resolution to change the rules would obviously be an uncomfortable vote for Gardner, McSally, and Collins. The base wants to see Pelosi punished for impeaching the president and for her dopey delay strategy in refusing to send over the articles. What better way to do that than to change the rules to empower the Senate to dismiss impeachment if it isn't brought in a timely manner? Federal courts allow it in criminal cases. Why should impeachment be different? It's a really good point by Hot Air. I thought this was a great article, by the way. Two problems, though. First, Trump wants a trial. I completely agree. That's the only bit of leverage Pelosi has over McConnell in her delay strategy. Mitch can't ditch the trial process a la Hawley's idea because Trump doesn't want him to. The president's frustrated that his side hasn't had an opportunity to engage on the merits of the Democratic case, and now he's about to get it. Gardner et al. Can and will cite that too when they inevitably vote against Hawley's resolution and Trump fans start complaining about it. The president deserves to be heard. Why does Hawley want to deny him that opportunity? They go on to say that it's too soon for the nuclear option that Hawley has in mind, but I gotta say this. I actually kind of agree with Hawley. Listen, man, I'm not saying this because it's about whether you like Trump or not. I know I have to tell you that all the time, but it's true. It's about process. In an impeachment, it's my understanding, based on literally everything I've read from the Republican to the Democratic arguments, they need to appoint prosecution managers and announce the impeachment, and they're holding it up, and Democrats have bragged about it. They've bragged about how it's frustrating Republicans. Hawley says it's lack of prosecution. They do it in federal courts. Let's do it. I don't think Hawley's wrong on that one. I don't think they should use the process for a political game. That goes for Republicans, too. They were complaining about the early hearings. I can understand why they were. When Schiff was doing the basement hearings, because the Democrats were leaking information to make Trump look bad out of context. I understand all that. But now we've got the Democrats who have argued that they're attacking the process, quite literally using process to obstruct the impeachment trial because they know they're going to lose. Listen, man, when the people of this country vote, that's what you get. I'll throw some shade to McConnell over Obama's appointees. He says his argument is basically the Senate and the executive branch were of different parties, so we should have an election to see where the people stand. I don't care for that. No, I'm sorry, dude. The president's the president. Obama was in office. He should have got his appointee put to vote. That's how the game should have been played. And now people are always trying to change the rules to benefit their side. I'm not playing that. I don't like what Pelosi is doing. It's jamming up the system. The Senate is controlled by Republicans. The American people have already spoken. Stop playing games. Both sides have done it. Both sides try to put up their argument for what makes sense. In this instance, I'm done. I like Hawley's idea. Shut it down. But I got more for you because, of course, Democrats aren't backing down. Schumer says new unredacted emails show need for impeachment witnesses. I disagree. Oh, man. You know what? Listen. A big story is going around about newly unredacted emails. They're basically saying that it provides evidence Trump was trying to cover things up because he redacted part of the emails, where the Department of Justice was basically saying, hey, we can't do this right. So Schumer is coming out. I'm not going to read through this for the most part. I'll give you the gist. All right. They say, Schumer is basically saying he's literally saying, here's a quote. The American people deserve a fair trial that gets to the truth, not a rigged process that enables a cover-up. Senator Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, a New York Democrat, said Thursday. Okay. They're referring to a report from a liberal group, Just Security. They say it reveals an email on August 30th from Michael Duffy, the Associate Director of National Security Programs at the Office of Management and Budget to the Pentagon, in which Duffy calls the delayed security aid a clear direction from Trump. Let me just stop you right there. One of the first bombshells was they were like, newly released emails prove Donald Trump ordered the hold on Ukraine. And I'm like, what? And? What does that mean? So what? Did you accuse him of withholding aid? Of course. I thought that was like canon in like the impeachment saga that Trump wanted to withhold aid from Ukraine. They've even said it because they weren't convinced Zelensky, the new president of Ukraine, was on the level. Now they're like, the emails show it came from the president. And it's like, what? What else is new? Well, I'll tell you this. The president himself has responded. I will read his response before we move on. Trump tweeted a quote from Christopher Bedford of The Federalist saying, there is nothing new in these emails at all that's been discovered. It's exactly what we knew before, which is that the White House and political figures wanted to cut off aid. Trump wanted to question aid to a number of different places that he thought were wasteful, and the career staff, as they always do, pushed back and made a million excuses as to why they could not possibly stop spending U.S. taxpayer money. There was a back and forth over the legal arguments, and the White House decision was followed, and then it was withdrawn. The Democrats' argument for impeachment has not gotten stronger over the last few weeks. As Senator Josh Hawley just said, he's going to enter a motion to dismiss the impeachment trial because it's never actually been brought to trial. So here's the thing. I don't know what we're learning from these emails. I gotta be honest, right? We have the story, an analysis from the Washington Post, new cover-up questions in Trump's Ukraine scandal. And they're basically saying, he opens with one of the GOP's main arguments is that Trump released the aid and there was no quid pro quo. But he goes on to mention this story from Just Security. They say they were able to view unredacted emails in which the Office of Management and Budget and the Defense Department discussed the withholding of military aid. The big new takeaway is that there was significant concern within the Pentagon about the legality and sustainability of the hold. Despite that, according to one email from top OMB official Michael Duffy on August 30th, there was clear direction from POTUS to continue the hold. Okay, that may be very damning. This may be the smoking gun. Donald Trump himself ordered the hold. It would be if they actually charged him with a crime. It would be if they actually said withholding the aid is not, you don't have the legal authority to do it. It is an illegal action. They don't. We know Trump did it. So look, listen. I'm not going to act like Trump's, and his administration are walking away scot-free here. But the worst thing we have from the story, I got to say, at least in my opinion, because I'll show you some stuff. Listen, what we have here is that Trump and the Department of Justice redacted things for dubious reasons. That's their main argument. They're not arguing Trump committed a crime. They're not arguing anything but beyond why were these emails redacted. We can't seem to say why. Oh, so that's what you're ending up on. You're going to add an article of impeachment because certain information was redacted when it didn't need to be, or you don't understand why it was. Listen, all of this thing has been one big political posturing from both sides, and I got to say, man, there's nothing here. Of course, that means I'm biased, I suppose, but I just literally don't see anything. I think I've fallen into that camp of independents who are like, I don't know what you're impeaching him for. He's not committed of any crimes, okay? This has been the principal point. Every impeachment before him, there's been legit crimes. Bill Clinton was perjury. And I believe actually obstruction of justice. Trump is like, they're going after the process. You know what, man? They accuse the Republicans of going after process, and they say, like, when the law is not on your side, attack the process. When the process is on your side, cite the law. They're literally doing the same thing. The law is on their side. Trump did not commit any crime, so what are they doing? Well, he redacted papers for dubious reasons. Okay, listen, let me show you something. Check this out. Natasha Bertrand reports through a tweet, an entire draft letter from the Deputy Defense Secretary to the acting OMB director warning that, quote, we have repeatedly advised OMB officials that pauses beyond August 19, 2019 jeopardize the department's ability to oblige USAI funding prudently and fully. And this was blacked out by the DOJ. So what? Okay, listen. The aid was released on September 11th. We've known this. This is an NBC story. When is this from? This is an NBC story from a month ago. November 14th, nearly almost 2 months ago, a month and a half ago. We knew when the aid was released. It's not a secret. It was released nearly a month after they were concerned. Why is anyone bringing up that this information was known? They didn't actually even go after the president for withholding the aid. The only reason it matters whether or not they were concerned about the date. They didn't even say it was illegal. They said it would hurt their ability to obligate the funding, potentially and fully. So I don't know why it was redacted. Okay, great. The DOJ shouldn't have redacted it. I'll tell you this, man. There have been many circumstances where it seems Trump has kind of overstepped things, which results in this weaponization by the left. Trump shouldn't have been on the call with Zelensky. He should have just had the DOJ and the appropriate channels go through those motions and bring those things up. Simply because he stepped forward and took action, they're now using it against him, okay? Now we have this. They were concerned about, pausing it beyond the 19th. Well, they literally did, and the Democrats haven't said Trump did anything wrong by doing it other than going against foreign policy. They called it an abuse of power, not a crime. So why does it matter if something was redacted? I honestly have no idea. All I can really say is like, oh, wow, the government was redacting information they shouldn't have. What else is new? It's what they've always done. Listen, man. I frequently find myself in the position of stop making me defend Trump. But literally right here, it's such a weak play. Okay, man? In the end, I don't know if Hawley's his resolution will actually pass. It'll be dismissed. I don't think so. The House Democrats will just vote to impeach him again. Nothing going on right now seems like legitimate use of our politicians' time or like legitimate concerns over anything other than people not liking each other. The Democrats abuse process in the exact same way they accuse Republicans of doing. And now the Republicans are once again, Hawley saying, I'm going to change the rules. Oh, did Trump do anything wrong? Then why are we playing this game? It's simple. The Democrats won the House. They have the power to do so. And it's about politics. We got serious issues going on in the Middle East. We got serious issues going on in China. And here I am. Well, I got to admit, I chose to do the story about Hawley because I thought it was interesting. But here we are. This is the time being spent. They're like, these emails prove Trump DOJ redacted things they shouldn't have. And did you accuse Trump of you know what, man? I made that point. But here's what I love. Take a look at this. Here's the, I'll cite this real quick. The Washington Post. The GOP's favorite new Trump impeachment defense. He isn't even accused of a crime. Right? He's not. But let me show you this. Vanity Fair says, damning new emails show Trump knew he was breaking the law on Ukraine. Oh, he knew he was breaking the law. Come on. No, it's all dubious. The left-wing outlets are going to frame it this way. This is hyperbolic. It's not the case. Okay? It is not the case. If it was, there would be headlines across the board. Everybody would be screeching. It's not. I'm sorry. This story's from yesterday. Or how about this one? Talking Points memo. Explosive new emails add to pile of evidence that Trump personally ordered Ukraine aid freeze. Even Talking Points memo isn't playing that line that Trump knew he was breaking the law because it's hyperbolic and it's stretching it beyond recognition. They knew there were legal concerns. Was it completely illegal? No, it was a process dispute. Once again, Trump, they say he doesn't have the legal authority to do it. Is it a crime for him to say don't do it? Who's the one who actually held up the aid and who's going to be held responsible? I don't know. Okay, man. Let me tell you something. There is a system in place, okay? There are checks and balances. Trump should not have withheld the aid. Is it an impeachable offense? Honestly, I don't know, but I'll tell you this. The Democrats aren't actually charging him with doing anything illegal. So I think the answer is, I have to lean towards no. It was inappropriate. Trump should not be doing this. The argument from the right is that it's just, once again, government officials saying like a million and one excuses as to why they shouldn't do something that Trump wants to do. And I'll explain to you why. But first, I'd like to show you the actual news headlines. The NBC says this: newly released emails provide details in White House pause of Ukraine aid. That's it. That's the headline. That's where we are. And this is from December 22nd. Okay, so I'll tell you this. They're saying it proves Trump knew it was illegal. And look at what NBC says. And NBC News is biased. But here's the actual headline. Exclusive. Unredacted Ukraine documents reveal extent of Pentagon's legal concerns. That's it. Just Securities. Kate Brennan wrote this story. It was published yesterday. Legal concerns. It doesn't mean Trump knew he was breaking the law. It means they were asking whether or not the law would permit or not, and there were concerns that it would or it wouldn't. There we go. I love it. I love it. But let me tell you something. You want to act like the pausing of aid to Ukraine is a big deal? You're lying. I'm sorry. Trump cuts aid to Central American countries as migrant crisis deepens. What's that? March 30th, 2019? Why would Trump be cutting aid to foreign countries? What's this, New York Times? White House lifts mysterious hold on military aid to Lebanon. The Trump administration will allow $105 million in aid package to flow after freezing funding without explanation. December 2nd. Are they impeaching Trump for withholding aid to Lebanon? No. Did anyone bring it up? No. Did they bring up aid to Central America? No. That's why I don't believe they actually care about Trump withholding aid to Ukraine. They are just using it for impeachment because, like Nancy Pelosi said, we've been working on this for 2.5 years. I am so sick of it. So anyway, you get the point. Let me make it clear. Trump is withholding aid to everybody. He's telling NATO, you got to pony up the bill. I see the game Trump is playing. He's tired of spending American money on foreign countries that don't do anything in return. And there was some debate between scholars where they basically said Trump is pulling back on the de facto American empire. Yeah, he is. Okay, fine. You know what, man? I'm not a big fan of the majority of the aid we send out. However, I'm a liberal, not a libertarian, so I'm okay with a lot of the aid we do, and I understand why we do have some military presence in certain places. I'm a very anti-intervention person. The Middle East was a massive mistake, but I recognize we have a lot of military bases in a lot of places, and I understand the strategic importance of NATO. So, so sue me, right? The point is, listen, man, we got to be real about what's going on, because when you play these games and you single out Ukraine while ignoring Lebanon, while ignoring all the other countries that Trump has targeted with withholding aid or pulling back support of, it makes me feel like you're just pretending like Ukraine is the scandal because Biden's name was mentioned. Oh, what's that? When it came to Lebanon, he didn't ask Lebanon to look into their corruption about Joe Biden? No, it was Ukraine, and Biden was involved. Biden's son did have the job. Trump mentioned it. Boom, there's our opportunity. Let's impeach him. If the impeachment was really about the withholding of aid, they'd highlight Lebanon. They're not. Not at all. If it was really about the legal concerns over withholding aid, they would have included it in the articles of impeachment, but Trump has only been accused of this nebulous opinion of abuse of power and obstruction of Congress, for which they never tried to alleviate by going to the Supreme Court, so spare me. However, I'll admit one thing. While I am somewhat tired of talking about impeachment, I did choose to do this story because I do think this stuff is still rather interesting, and, I had something to say about it, so... Look, we'll see what happens come Monday with Josh Hawley's resolution to dismiss the charges. I think it'll be voted against because there's vulnerable Republicans who will side with the overwhelming majority of Democrats who say, no, we need a fair trial. But I'll tell you this right now, man. As I know I said it, but I'm going to leave with one final note. And remember this. They say that Republicans were going after the process during the Schiff hearings. Well, what do you think Nancy Pelosi is literally abusing right now? She's abusing process. Okay? File the articles. Bring out your managers, prosecute the case, let America move on. Because I'll tell you who's going to really be hurt by this. And it's Bernie Sanders, it's Elizabeth Warren, it's the Democratic senators who are running for president who are going to be pulled away from the campaign trail just before Super Tuesday. And Trump will benefit from it in the end. Keep playing your games. I don't know what the point is. That's how I feel. I'll wrap it up. Stick around. Next segment's coming up at youtube.com/TimCastNews at 6 p.m. It is a different channel. And I'll see you there.